Hello there, Rip City. Blazers game day coming at you just a little bit earlier than we anticipated. Blazers versus Mavericks moved up an entire hour today as Texas is dealing with some ice and some snow going through the state. Dallas is getting pounded. So due to the inclement weather, they moved kickoff. Sorry, I looked up and saw a football highlight. They moved tip off an hour ahead. So Blazers game will tip off at 4:30 instead of 5:30, which means here we are with Blazers game day. I am Chris Burkhardt, joined on the other side of the glass by our producer, Brenden Slaughter. You can follow us on social media at Chris J. Burkhardt and B_slot, respectively. But hopefully the Blazers can go into Dallas and get a win today on the second of the back-to-back. Final game of their 5-game road trip. And then it's back home for a little bit of home cooking, which will be nice. I can't wait till Saturday because it's AAPI Heritage Night there at Moda Center. And you guys all know I take a lot of pride in my island roots, man. So I'm excited for that, and then excited just to have the Blazers back at home. And I think if you're Rib City, you should all be excited after what you saw go down in New Orleans last night, because holy smokes did the Blazers put together a game. Sean Hyken, our Trailblazers insider, follow him over at the Rose Garden Report. Like he said in the post-game recap, he's like, not very often you get to say this, but the Blazers were dominant, and they absolutely were. They came out and they jumped out to the quick 40-24 lead over the Pelicans in the first quarter, outscored the Pelicans in the second quarter 35-18, the 75-point first half, the highest scoring half of the season for your Trailblazers. The offense and all that was not as smooth in the second half. They were outscored 34-23 in the third and 24-21 in the fourth. But you know what? The lead was just too much for a shorthanded New Orleans Pelicans team to overcome. The largest lead of the night for your Trailblazers, 33 points. The largest lead of the night for your Pelicans, 0, because there was 0 lead changes. They were tied just one time throughout the game. So that's just domination from the Trailblazers. But the Pelicans were without Trey Murphy. They were without Zion Williamson. They were without Brandon Ingram. So they were missing a large chunk. And I know everyone likes to automatically point at that and be like, well, you know, they didn't have their stars and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, again, we've talked about this. I mean, the Blazers have played teams without their stars, and those teams have destroyed the Blazers. So I like these games when the Blazers don't get caught off guard. They don't slip, you know, they just go about their business, take care of business, and leave New Orleans with a win. New Orleans now sitting at 7-31. Not a great spot for the Pelicans, who came into this season, I thought, with some high hopes. Good team. Chemistry's continuing to build with guys like CJ and everybody there. And you're like, okay, Trey's turning the corner. Herb is great. Obviously, Zion, all this, can he stay healthy? You know, last year they were good, and it's like, okay, can they get into it now? Can this be the year they really get over the hump? I mean, last season they were the 8th seed in the play-in, but it just didn't work out, right? This is the year. Not so much, because again, they are terrible. Injury's been a major part of that, but they're sitting at 7-31, the worst record in the Western Conference, the second worst record in the NBA right now. The only team worse, the Washington Wizards, at 6-29. On the Pelicans side of things, Herb Jones did have a terrible game. He was a -17, but he had 0 points, no rebounds, just a single assist in 18 minutes. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, he had just 2 points. Missy had 2 points, 20 points from DeJounte Murray, and a team-leading 23 points from CJ McCollum. You add in the 10 points there from Jordan Hawkins. Hawkins, McCollum, and Murray, the only Pelicans players to score in double figures. Not a lot of production from anybody else. Now, going on to the Blazers side of things. Another day where the balance was there, man. All 5 starters in double figures. Scoot came off the bench. He was in double figures too. Got a couple scores from everyone else. Didn't play an 8-man rotation this time, Chauncey. The big lead allowed him to go deep, played basically the entire bench outside of guys who were out. Now, looking at it, Tamani Kamara, 15 points. He had 3 rebounds, 5 assists as well, and 2 steals and a block shot, 3 steals and a block shot. So a very good night from him. Denny Avdia was the player of the game. He got our game ball, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a blocked shot. He was 10 of 15 from the floor. DeAndre Ayton, 11 points, 13 rebounds, another nice double-double. And I like those games from DA, right? Like, you can look at it and be like, well, it was only 11 points, 13 rebounds, but he's not taking a lot of shots. He's not commanding too much. He's just being very, very efficient within his usage, and it leads to good games, so I do like that. Shaedon Sharpe, 21 points, so a very nice night from him, 8 of 13 from the floor. Anthony Simons, 17 points. And you could probably look at that and be like, oh, Anthony Simons took a little bit of step back in the scoring. Well, it's just because he didn't need to in this one. Like, everyone was just pouring it in. Scoot Henderson had a good bounce back. He had 13 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. Had some head-scratching plays throughout the game, but it was still a much better game than what he put up in Detroit. And then Chris Murray had 6 points, 4 points each for Robert Williams and Delano Banton. Robert Williams also had 4 blocked shots in his 16 minutes, so you love to see that. 2 points from Dwap Reith. Jabari Walker and Ryan Rupert did not score. But this was one of those games where the Blazers, they did exactly what they needed to do. If you guys were listening to Game Day ahead of that game, like you should be doing, we were talking about our keys to the game, and one of our keys was win the rebounding battle. And they did. They won this one 44-41. And for most of the game, they were really dominating it there. Again, second half, things kind of buoyed back out. We needed them to get their assist up, turnovers low. They did that, 24 assists, just 13 turnovers. So a good night there because the turnovers weren't too high. Loved the block shots, and I loved everyone getting in on the scoring as well. So this was the Blazers just taking care of business. They didn't go through the motions, which is good, right? This team can't afford to ever go through the motions. They got to pour it on every single time they get on the court to sometimes just to have a chance. And they did it tonight, and they had a chance. Craziest part about the box score, though, is the attendance is listed at 16,425, and there is no way that there was that many people in that arena that night. Joking aside, let's head to the post-game interview where Denny Avdia got the walk-off interview with Brick Olsenham. I want to hear what he had to say.
Denny, you guys came out and established your dominance early and did not let up. What was key to this fantastic win?
We came to brawl early. We shared the ball. We had energy, and I feel like we were quiet today. Like, not quiet in terms of like a bad quiet, but we had our piece. We played together. We felt like we were confident, and we were happy. I feel like today was really fun game. Even though we won by 19, I feel like it was just fun. Everybody was like together. So
it was very fun to watch as well. 75 points in the first half. That is a season high. Was it a goal of yours to come out to a fast start?
I think we just made shots, honestly. We were working on them, but yeah, we played fast, and the shots kept falling, so we just got to stay with that confidence, and I'm happy. It was a team win. It was a good confidence booster for the rest of the season, and I feel like let's get into the next one. We got another one tomorrow, so.
Team high, 26 points. How were you able to carve up their defense like you did tonight?
I don't know. I just played, honestly. I don't have secrets. I just played. I shot the ball when I was open. I made the plays for the other guys. And that's it. I'm putting in the work. I'm working very hard. I'm confident, and then that's about it. But I couldn't do it without my teammates. You know what I'm saying? They passed me the ball. We shared it. So, I got to shout out to them. Sure.
Great job tonight.
All right, Rip City. Bye.
I love that from Denny. It's funny because if you go back and listen to the Locked On podcast with Mike Richmond. He had a good point where he's talking with Scoot Henderson the other day about how it looks like the team's drawing up more for you. And Scoot actually said something along the lines like, "I like it more when they don't, and we just play free." And it's funny because Denny basically just kind of said the same thing. Like, how are you able to tear them up? Like, I don't know. Like, I just hooped. Like, I just did my thing. And I love that. I love that from Denny. And he has been arguably the best Blazer this season, at least the most consistent, and getting better throughout the year too. Like, if you were to hand out an MVP trophy to a Portland Trailblazer, like, who is your MVP of the Trailblazers? Through these first 30 games or whatever we're at, math in my head, third of the way through. Who are you giving the MVP trophy to? It's a race between Toumani Camara and Denny Avdia, right? Like, Ant's not sniffing it, DA's not sniffing it. Sharpe had good moments, but he's not sniffing it. It's been Denny and Toumani. And then you sit there and you look at when the trade happened, like, oh my gosh, can't believe Portland had to give up assets to get him. I thought Malcolm Brogdon was going to get us a first-round pick. Why did we have to give one away for Denny? Well, it makes sense now when you're watching him out there play, and he's your best player.
That and that contract, Chris. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous contract.
You brought that up a while back, and for people who don't know, yeah, it's purdy. It's purdy.
I see what you did there.
Quite frankly, it might be the best contract in the NBA right now.
It's up there. I mean, for value, production, everything else. I mean, now you see why the Blazers had to surrender a pick into the future, but easily you're seeing the benefits. I mean,
well,
it was
he keeps playing
smart
like
and shrewd
this,
move, in my opinion.
If he's playing like this 4 years from now, or even better, and he's making $10 million, yeah.
You'll be feeling pretty darn good.
You're going to be feeling pretty darn good. But he has. Him and two have been the two best players this year. I think Danny has been the most the consistent guy on offense, leading the tempo, kind of changes how the offense plays, which you love. Toumani Camara has been, not even debatably, has just been the best defensive player on the team, if not one of the best in the league. Like, I don't think he's going to get there just because, team success happens a little bit, matters a little bit. But, I mean, he needs to get some consideration for these all-league defense teams because he's been phenomenal on that side of the ball. I mean, there was a couple of his steals. He had 2 steals, and both of them, they looked like they were so nonchalant last night. Like one of them, he's just manning up DeJounte, and the pass goes out, and he just kind of turns around, puts his hand in the passing lane, and gets a steal. Like, it was just like eyes in the back of his head, gets a steal. It's just, he is so darn fun on the defensive side of things. But I'll continue to see how this team progresses and where they go and how they build, because we all know that this team has to build and moves will be made as with the deadline coming up next month. But regardless, I know we have Team Tank. We have team put your best foot forward. Last night, it was a win, and you can't be too upset when the Blazers go out and grab a win. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can talk about the standings and all that, but the Blazers are still, the 6th worst team in the league. So they're going to be in the lottery, and they're going to be in the race for the number 1 overall pick, and everything's going to be just fine. Don't you worry. But sometimes it is just nice to watch your team go out and put a very, very good game together, which they did. Speaking of good games, Brenden, I know you were in there taking care of other work. Even though for you it's you go from like being busier than heck to like slamming on the brakes. Like you went from like doing 80 on the freeway to 0. I'm surprised the whiplash didn't hit you like once college football ends, right? Like
yeah, I mean, it's just different, right? So it's not quite as like intense, but yet the transfer portal the month of December was really crazy. Now I'm like, I do feel like it's like finally taking a breath. But as you know, Chris, college football now, it's kind of a 12-month sport.
Oh yeah, it is right.
So there's always stuff. So I always stay busy.
Right
but
now.
You're totally right. I enjoy these nice little breaks.
How about Carson Beck announcing he's going to the NFL draft and the transfer portal? I mean,
yeah, I mean.
That's
no,
actually
all luck to Carson. I don't know if he's going to be any more wanted immediately in the NFL than Jalen Milroe. Might need a new landing spot, but we'll see.
Carson Beck, it's the smart move in reality. What he is he's keeping all avenues open. I mean, he could very well go back to Georgia, could go to somewhere else, could go to the draft. We'll see where it goes. But the only reason I was talking about you doing some football work is you're always in there on your computer. Most of the time you're typing up some stuff for your Beaver's Edge stuff. Shout out to all the work you do over there. But it's funny. Every single time I walked into your room over there, I looked up at the score and I was like, the Cavs Oklahoma City game was always like a 1-point game.
It was a great game to watch.
Best game of the year in the NBA last night. The latest in the season that 2 teams over 850 winning percentage have met in the season. And the first time ever in NBA history, a team with a 15-game win streak played a team with a 10-game win streak. And that's pretty incredible. And if you're watching it, man, this could very well be a preview of the NBA Finals if these two keep playing like that. Cleveland snapped the 15-game win streak of the Oklahoma City Thunder, 129-122. They were all shooting lights out. I mean, this Cleveland, 21 points from Evan Mobley, 25 from Jarrett Allen. Donovan Mitchell had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. And people who have paid attention to Donovan Mitchell at Utah are like, he only had 11 points. Watch that game. That dude, he dominated that game. Even when he wasn't shooting, like he has so much gravity, right? Like that Cleveland team is fun. That Cleveland team is fun. And it's fun to see those two markets out there go do that because everyone always talks about how bad Cleveland's always been. And small market Oklahoma City. You think Oklahoma City's a bigger market than Portland? No. but here they are.
It was
Give you
interesting.
hope.
Yeah, because when you and I were talking about that when you came in last night, Chris, I was like, just take a step back and like say, after LeBron left and after Dame waved away the Thunder, would you have thought that these two franchises would be here, right? So talk about like the perfect example, the golden blueprint, whatever you want to call it. But hey, those two, lost, their stars and rebounded pretty darn well.
Absolutely, they did. So we'll see what the Blazers do here as they continue to build. But we're going to take a break here on Blazers Game Day. Again, this is Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light. And when we come back, though, we're going to head to the Coach's Corner. I want you guys to hear what Coach had to say following that game. We're going to continue to talk about this Blazer team, of course. I still got some Coors Cold Hard facts and keys to the game all here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you, joined by my man, Brenden Slaughter. And Brenden, we went a little too long, quite honestly.
Got to speed things up a bit. I feel it.
No. I'm not even talking about too long on the first segment, which we did go too long. But you know what? The fun part about this show, it's not like your guys' morning show or the Ripseed Drive. Like, as long as it's done in the hour, we don't have to take the breaks at the exact time like we do. This will be a quick segment. But anyway, what it has been a long time where you and I went too long is we went too long working together on this show without me needing to call you for help. I mean, how many times in the morning?
Hey, I think I just attributed to morning radio.
Yeah. Brenden, I ran out of gas on I-5.
Be right there, Chris.
Brenden, my shifter just broke on the exact same spot on I-5 that I ran out of gas.
Be right there, Chris.
Like, how does that happen? And then today, hey, Brenden, what's your ETA? He's, I'm just around the corner. Why? Because when I left my other job, I left my wallet at my desk and the key card's in there, so I can't even access the building. So I'm going to need you to hurry up so you can let me in.
Yeah, we got work to do, right? No, yeah. At first, when you said that, because I know, like, we never really touch base. We just kind of like, we're going to be here. We're adults. We can show up on time. And when, I'm driving and my Apple CarPlay sends me a notification, it's like, Chris Burkhardt text. And I'm like, my thought instantly went to traffic on 205. Yeah, right. We're going to do the game day from the phone again, which we've done.
I'm surprised you just didn't turn around and go to that spot on I-5 just to see if I was there.
Just beeline it that way. And when I was at a safe spot and could check, he goes, "Oh, where are you at?" I'm like, "Oh, cool, just around the corner." So that was actually it was not as bad as it could have been, Chris.
Yeah. It's like, and sometimes you'll roll in close to game time. Like, sure. You rolled in yesterday, like, about 12 minutes to show. I was starting to sweat just a little bit, but you got here. Dude, there is times
these earlier games and just in general finishing up like office work and all those things.
Oh, yeah.
It's
dude, there's times though,
which
when I was in
you
your
obviously
seat,
know, being at OSA.
Oh, yeah. When I was in your seat producing and Chad would roll in like a 3:00 start, Chad would literally walk in this door at like 58. I'm like, oh, I thought I was going to have to host in that. Oh, man, I was ready to go, though.
There you go, right?
All right. Hey, Brenden, I think it is time, my man, that we head to the Coach's Corner.
For the latest on tonight's lineup, injuries, and matchup, let's head to the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups.
All righty, let's jump in the DeLorean, head back to a whole, less than 24 hours ago, and hear what Coach Billups had to say following the win over the Pelicans in New Orleans.
All right, well, first off, Coach, just your thoughts on the performance, particularly the first half. I mean, that's about as good as it gets offensively.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the offense in the first half stands out. But to me, it was the defense that got us going. It really was. Our defense, we talked better than we've talked all season defensively in terms of just being ready, being focused, knowing who we were guarding. And I thought it was great. We shared the ball in a major way, in the first half. And we shot the heck out of it, obviously. So you have a half like that, everything is really going well, and then you have to fend off a letdown in the second half naturally. So that's always very tough, but I thought we did. I thought we came out, in the third quarter, and we were okay. My whole focus was let's just win the quarter, And as much as you try to talk your team into let's just act like it's 0-0, I mean, natural, it's normal. But I thought we hung in there and did a good job and continued to just play the right way throughout the course of the game.
Shaden's first half especially, kind of what you see from that offense. It seems like it's really a continuation of kind of what he's been playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, Shea is playing great offensively. He's taking the right type of shots. I want him to be on the attack at all times. I want him to be even more aggressive in the second half. But obviously, you never know where the ball is. When the ball is just moving and nobody's thinking about shots or thinking about who's going to get the ball or no play, it just kind of happens, and sometimes it doesn't come back to you. But I thought Shea was excellent the entire night.
Kind of Rob's performance tonight, too. I mean, you talk about defense. He had a couple blocks in the first half.
Yeah.
And after not having played in the first couple games of this trip to come out, it seems like he had an impact on the game, even then the time he did get tonight.
Rob is just I mean, he's 16 minutes tonight. He's just a difference maker. He really is. I mean, his feel for the game, his instincts are high level. His IQ is high level. And he's moving so well. He's so healthy. I'm just so happy for him. But he helps you on both sides of the ball. You know, he's such a great passer. Defensively, like, no shot is safe down there. I mean, he's blocking everything. He's blocking jump shots. He's blocking layups. He's catching lobs. I mean, Rob he's just incredible, man. You know, I love coaching him. He's he's a real leader. He just plays the right way.
And last one, Tumani, you talked about, again, defense to offense. It seems like he was really disruptive on the defensive end tonight that led to runouts for both himself and for guys like Chris and as well.
Well, Tumani is he's just proven to the world that he's one of the best defenders in our league already. You know, he really is. You put him on any and everybody, point guards, shooting guards, centers, forwards. He has an impact. He really does. So I'm just proud of him. But he does. Two is doing what two does. You know, he's just gonna be. He's an irritant out there. He's disruptive out there. He can be solid at times. He gets offensive rebounds. He just continues to get better, man. He continues to get better, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, two's been wonderful. You're not the only one who loves it, Chauncey. I think all of Rip City loves the progression that Tumani Kamara has made in just a short amount of time. He's quickly becoming just a go-to guy. On the defensive side, he's going to go make plays, man, and that's what you need. You build some offense around him, you're going to be good to go. Absolutely love Tumani. And then, yeah, Robert Williams, as he talked about, yeah, made some really good plays, was heady out there, had those 4 block shots after missing a couple nights. And we'll see how things go tonight. Last we checked, he's listed as questionable, likely to rest because it's the second night of a back-to-back, which makes sense, which we talked about yesterday, Brenden, that I definitely suspected that it was rest one of the bigs on the first night, play him on the second, play one on the first night, rest him on the second. Rob and Klingon, and it does look like Klingon will go tonight. So, yeah, we'll see how that one goes for the Blazers as they take on the Luka-less Dallas Mavericks, who are also without Kyrie Irving today. I did have a question on social media, though, Brenden, and that was if there is ice in another city that the Blazers are playing in, does DeAndre Ayton miss the game just to keep up appearances?
Cute. I like that.
Right? Like
I like that. Some creativity.
Like everyone else could leave the hotel but him?
Well, and I remember very coincidentally last year, Chris, when all that hubbub started to kind of take over social media, and to be honest, it took on a life of its own. DA played like his best ball of the season after that happened. Yeah. So just saying, maybe, poking at DA a little bit. He's just like, all right, y'all think I'm soft? All right,
hey,
all right.
If poking that
because
bear.
that was the whole thing, was just like, this whole thing and all that. So I think it's kind of silly, but definitely would be funny if he's like, yeah, just gotta rest this aching knee tonight, guys.
Hey, those guys tend to live in parts of town, though, let's be honest, that are they're not even fun to drive around when it's raining.
Nope, you're absolutely right. Up in the hills.
Up in those hills, yeah, those aren't fun to be in when it's raining and dark, let alone icy. So I do feel.
Well, and add in the other part, Chris. Usually those gentlemen are driving nicer cars than you and I too. So
how much ice is there?
So
there's a quarter inch of ice. I don't know if my car can clear that.
Yeah, I don't know if the Lambo can make it out of the garage.
Yeah. My Lambo's going to get high centered on a snowball.
So, again, just process of elimination, cheaper car, cheaper deductible, more expensive car, probably more expensive deductible.
Absolutely.
So you're probably like, yeah, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah, you gotta have a beat up, like 1990 truck or something. You just take out when it snows. Keep the nice one around for when it's sunny. Like today, a beautiful day. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we come back, it's time for our Coors Cold Hard Facts. Still have our keys to the game to get you ready for Blazers versus Mavs. If you're just tuning in, that game has been moved up an hour. This was actually supposed to be our original start time, Brenden. We were supposed to have an hour and a half show today. Special extra long. Instead, we got pushed to the regular normal hour and started earlier, but the Blazers will tip off at 4:30 right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day, where it is now time for our Coors Cold Hard Facts.
It's time for the Cold Hard Facts, presented by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill, celebrate responsibly.
All right, it's time now for our Coors Cold Hard Facts, and you know what? I'm going to tell you this one. It's we've had cold hard hunches, and we're this one's a fact though, man. And the Blazers, they knew what they were doing, and for as much crap as we give the general managers, and this was a bad move, and the draft they hit with Denny Avdia. They hit with Denny Avdia, and for all the whole is Scuda bust or this or that or what they hit. And you got to give him credit for that one, man. He has been so good for this team. And many nights they win because of great games that he has. And then you want to talk about hits that Joe's had in the trade market, too. I mean, look, when you trade Dame, that thing sucks. But you got Tumani out of that. And Tumani is even talked about, and Billups has talked about it, how, like, Phoenix was not happy that he was included in that deal. And they've been open about how guys like Durant and Booker like wanted to play with him. They liked him and they're like, really? They were like, I thought Chauncey was lying when he first said that, because I'm just like, he was there for like a cup of coffee, literally. And they're like, no, they liked him that much. And look what he's been doing here. Blazer fans loved him last year, and he's getting even better. And I think the offense is going to get better. Defense is going to continue to improve, and it's already great. So he's good. So you got to give Joe credit for that, man. But this is not the give Joe all the credit segment. This is the praise Denny Avdia for how good he is segment. He has been incredible for this team this season, and they really struck gold, man. Like, yes, they had to give up the asset, but when you think they turned Malcolm Brogdon into Denny, who is just 24 years old, turned 24, last week? And it's like, yeah, I really like the future of this kid. And I mean, can I call him a kid? I'm getting to the point, Brenden, unfortunately, where everybody is just a kid to me now. Getting old enough.
Fair.
I'm getting old enough. It's like a 50-50 chance on whether you're younger than me or not. Might as well just call you kid. But no, Denny Avdia has been incredible. And I think it's a fact that the Blazers struck gold with him. Got any facts over there, Brenden, today you want to share? Or you got anything to say about Denny? Got to get you in here, man.
I mean, yeah, like I said before, I mean, I love Denny Avdia. I mean, when this trade happened, I mean, I think it's Joe Cronin and Mike Schmidt's doing what they do best. And that's identifying talent that's going to fit here long term. And you want to talk about the issues that will present itself in the future with players making lots of money and the aprons and all that. And we're seeing why teams with expensive rosters can't just go get whoever they want anymore. Having things like salary flexibility is going to be important. We talked about that, and Denny's contract is going to give the Blazers some options here in 1, 2, however many years it is until they can make that turn and be really more competitive. So yeah, no, I'm all in on Denny, man. I love what he brings.
Yeah, and you bring that in like the apron thing, and that's why you're having like Miami and all that having so much trouble. That's why the Bucks,
right,
who could want to get in on the Butler thing, are in a bad spot because they're over the second apron. For those of you who pay attention, I believe the number is usually like if a team trades, you can take 125% back.
Yeah, I mean, you used to be able to even just have more lopsided trades.
Well, you could, because as long as you had the room, you could, and you could take back 125%. But now, if you're over that second apron, you can't take over 100.
Yeah.
You also can't, if you're over the second apron, you also can't aggregate salaries to match. So it has to be a 1-for-1 match. You can't trade two guys out to match the salary of a one. So it hampers all your moves.
Right. And for those at home, Chris, and I this contract talk and all the numbers and aprons can be somewhat confusing. You want to go experience it yourself? Play 2K, but keep all the trade restrictions on, Chris, because you'll see real quickly how you have to really line things up, and I think that adds another level and layer of complication to things. And that's where it's like, Jimmy Butler may want to get traded. And glad you brought that up, because I mentioned it with Chad last time we were on Rip City Drive. Like, can you really make anything happen without having another malcontent star who happens to
Right.
make $30-some million.
Right.
I think almost 40, right? So
Yeah,
it's a tough spot.
It's absolutely rough, and I like that. That's how I think in the long run you create that creative or that competitive balance, and people have to be very judicious with how they spend your money. I will point out too, if you want to get a good breakdown of how the Blazers' finances are and what the aprons are and all that, your buddy, your friend of the show, Keith Smith, has done a great
Spotrac,
job. Him and his
yes.
team over there at Spotrac, and I also the trade machine they have way better than the
ESPN one
trade machine.
doesn't even take things into
Dude,
consideration,
the ESPN
man.
trade machine is dumb. Can we
Yeah.
just stop using it? There's so much
Yeah,
better
let's just
options
shut
out
it
there.
down. Shut it down.
But go
y'all.
out to Spotrac. They do a great job of breaking it all down. We're going to take one final break here. When we come back, going to give you our keys to the game, let you know what the Blazers need to do to get a win over the Dallas Mavericks. Come back home 3-2 on this 5-game trip. That would be pretty nice. This is Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back in to Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Oh, man, we got to stop going so long in that first segment. It's just so fun to break down games, especially when they win. Now we're up against the clock, so we got to get to our keys to the game. That started what was a 5-game skid for the Dallas Mavericks. They ended that skid in their last game, a 118-97 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers. But still, this team is without Luka Doncic, who's dealing with the calf strain. They are without Kyrie Irving, who's dealing with the lumbar issue. He had the bulging disc in his back. Now they went into that game against LA, and again, no Kyrie, no Luka. Spencer Dinwiddie dropped 19 on him. PJ Washington had a good game, 22 points. Klay Thompson had 13. Quentin Grimes had 23 off the bench, and he torched the Blazers in the first game that these two played. So you still got weapons out there, but also keep in mind, last time these two played, the Luka-less Dallas Mavericks had Kyrie Irving, who dropped 46 on the Blazers in a game where it just, until the fourth quarter, it looked like he wasn't even trying. You're like, oh, man, that's the quietest 24-point half I've ever seen. And the next thing you know, he just goes off again. But he's not out there tonight. So the Blazers have to find ways to stop all of those other guys. And it seems, I mean, stop the other guys. Yeah, that's really easy, Burke. Like, I get that. It sounds cliche, but they have to, because these guys have also proven that they can beat Portland and they can take care of business. I mean, in that first game that I alluded to a second ago, Quentin Grimes dropped 28 points on the Blazers, right? And Spencer Dinwiddie dropped 20. And Dallas won that game 137-131. So it's not as if these guys can't get theirs when they play against the Trail Blazers. So Portland needs to do their best to keep those guys down. Daniel Gafford, who was questionable, but he has been upgraded to available tonight. He had 23 points against the Blazers in the second game they played, and that was a game Dallas won 132-108. So you still have to be careful. So if you're looking at this one, to me, it's make those guards that are filling in beat you. I know Quentin Grimes put together a game. I know Spencer Dinwiddie has put together a game, but they also had the gravity of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving pulling defenders away. They don't have that tonight. So get up on them. Get Tumani, get Denny, get these guys who are good, big body defenders, and just get into them. And if that's the case, then you're probably going to see a lot of the ball getting to Daniel Gafford. And in that case, that's where Ayton and Klingon come into play. So the Blazers need to be defensively very, very smart on top of the arc, and then lock down the paint and have the Dallas Mavericks sitting there looking for questions like, oh my gosh, how do we answer what this team is doing? And if you do that, then you're going to probably be in a pretty good spot. I mean, like, Luka seems to have the Blazers number. I feel like every time he plays the Blazers, he just goes off or does something spectacular.
I think it's ordained, Chris, when he hit that that crazy fall away 4-point play as a rookie at Moda Center, even though they lost. I just always attribute it to be like, yep, that dude's just gonna be a Blazers thorn for his career.
Yep. Yeah, you thought you had. Yeah, it's. I remember that game very vividly, watching him hit that shot.
A lot of people do. It was like, whoa,
because it was one of those shots that, like, it had a 0.1% chance of going in, and somehow that 0.1% chance hit. It was like winning the lottery, and it was pretty incredible to be in the building, quite honest.
You're like, oh yeah, cool, Blazers got the win. Who's that rookie?
Yeah. So, but outside of that, I think you're going to be just fine. And so, again, forcing those guys to make plays. I also think without that gravity of those two particular players, I think it's going to allow your defense to space out a little bit more and really try to close passing lanes, because you don't necessarily have to be on a person's chest the entire time. So I think for this game, you need to see an A-plus game out of a guy like Tumani Kamara to go out there, close those lanes, get those steals. And then, of course, I personally, just because it's fun, I want to see Shaedon Sharpe do what he did in the first half against NOLA, all 4 quarters, and have himself a game. All right, that music means it is time to go. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on Blazers Game Day. But keep it locked in. Don't change that station, because coming up in about 5 minutes, Chad Dewing will have the Blazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network. Travis Demers will have the call of the game when tip-off happens at 4:30. And, of course, after the game, stay right here on Rip City Radio, where Brenden and I will have the 5th quarter, where hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers win.